Mr. Shishir Agarwal, Mr. Hariharan Subramaniam, Ms. Amita Sarkar, friends from the media, and all the very distinguished friends from the MedTech industry. At the outset, my apologies that I was not able to come at 11, but I've been under the weather, had a very bad night. I don't know whether you were trying to increase domestic business through me as a guinea pig. But truly delighted to engage with you. The last time around also when we met, I think there was some sudden interruptions in my ability to spend more time with you. But the theme that you have set up for today's program very aptly captures India's aspirations and the world's expectations from us. Frankly, I was just telling Gaurav that it's good I didn't see your BCG report or your presentation before coming here. I may never have agreed to come. You're looking at an industry which you say will be growing to an $800 billion industry. How can India's aspirations, India's plans be so meek? Particularly when we have collectively resolved that by 2047, we want to see a developed, a prosperous India. Particularly when we are all so highly conscious of competitiveness and quality. Particularly when we have such fantastic talent in India, unmatched across continents. We will all have to relook at our own plans, ability to collaborate within the country, internationally, become bigger, bolder, more imaginative, and aim for the sky. India today cannot have modest goals. And a sector like yours, which is still 70-75% dependent on imports, is a natural candidate for Atmanirbharta, self-reliance. And COVID taught us such a big lesson. I still remember when the lockdown was first imposed, probably end of February 2020, 24th March 2020. On that same day, I had a video conference with 30 of the top industrial houses in the country, or Indians, prominent Indians internationally. There was panic all across the country. We had run out of PPE suits. We didn't know what medicine works, doesn't work. The only thing we knew was oxygen may help, but India was barely producing, if I remember correctly at that point of time, about 80-90 tons of medical oxygen per day. We have been going around the world to try and source syringes, needles, PPE kits, and whatever else we thought may help. And that's why on that VC I had requested them, all the Indians, well-meaning Indians, do what it takes. Throughout the world, wherever we can get any supplies, just go all out for the country. And I know for sure they all tried their level best. Many even entered into contracts, paid advances, only to see that money go down the drain because the supplies never came. Many commitments they received, which at the last moment was such bad quality from some of the countries who were at that time profiteering from COVID, that we couldn't receive those supplies. And I remember Dr. Trehan telling me that he had just about enough PPEs to last for 6 days. At that time, if I remember, we used to think that a PPE has to be used only once and disposed of so that the next patient doesn't get infected. Was that the original protocol? But collectively as a nation, we rose to the occasion. We didn't get daunted by the challenges and crisis. We decided to take that head on. And ladies and gentlemen, you come from an industry which should take pride in the fantastic achievements that our healthcare professionals, our doctors, nurses, technicians, manufacturers of equipment, manufacturers of consumables, all of you did the nation proud. And that's when the world recognized that India is the pharmacy of the world. That's when the world recognized the capabilities that all of you have for high quality, competitive products from a country which never made PPEs. We started becoming the second largest manufacturer of PPEs. We even started exporting them. I remember when we put some export controls on food grains or on some of the medicines, the world thought that India is closing its doors and will not allow what is available with us to serve other parts of the world. And there was a big hue and cry. But I'd like to share with you why we brought in those export controls. The entire idea behind those export controls was to make sure that less developed or developing countries, the poorer nations, can also be eligible and can also get the benefit of the medicines or supplies that India had been able to rapidly ramp up. So we didn't refuse anybody anything at all, what we had with us. Whatever was available in India, we gave it to the rest of the world at fair prices. We didn't try to profiteer from it. But suppose we had not put those export controls, traders in 3 or 4 rich countries could have bought off all our production and made huge profits and made it nearly impossible for the less developed countries to get the benefit of our products at reasonable prices or our medicines, because that would have been cornered by a few rich countries alone. That is the level of sensitivity, that is the level of care and concern that India is recognized across the world for. I still remember a call I got from the advisor to Miss Angela Merkel, the then Chancellor of Germany. And he's a very dear friend, continues to be so till today, Lars Henrik. He called me up and he said, Germany would like to provide, I don't remember the exact figure, maybe tell the office to take out those files, 20 or 30 or 35 million, 30 or 35 million euros as a grant to support our fight against COVID. I said, why are you calling me up? I don't look after that. You ask your people to contact the finance ministry. They look at these grants, the terms, conditions, whether we are willing to take, not willing to take. There's always a catch very often when you're getting a grant. He said, no, but we'd also like to support you with so many ventilators. I don't recall the figure. I said, that's great. If you send me the specs, I'll share it with the pharma or healthcare ministry, and let the ministry take a call if it fits into our Indian requirement. I didn't know whether German ventilators will work here. Then he further added sweetener to the conversation and said, we'd also like to give you 200 million euros, either at zero interest it was or at nominal 1 or 2% interest, which you can pay back in a long term so that you can fight against COVID. I said, the same thing, I can't negotiate or discuss this. Talk to the Ministry of Finance. I'll certainly inform them that you're interested in giving this, but it'll have to be between them and you. Then he came to the crux of the problem. He wanted some medicines. Paracetamol, of course, was important. There was also that hydroxychloroquine. Hyd- hydroxychloroquine. Well, world leaders couldn't pronounce it properly, so I think I'm a very small person. And I said, Henrik, there's no problem at all. Just send in a note what you require. We have a small group, the Foreign Ministry, Health, or Pharma, one of them, and my ministry, DPIIT. They sit as a committee and make sure that everybody gets the medicines that they require, basis the population of the country, basis the number of people impacted with COVID. We wanted to make sure that we democratize, we socialize the availability of whatever we have in India, so that the whole world can benefit, rich or poor. And I promise you, we made sure whatever they wanted in terms of medicines to fight COVID, India provided them, not at a profit, not at exorbitant prices which they would be willing to pay at that time. And I never once found out from the Ministry of Finance, never, I didn't even try to make an effort, that did they actually give that grant or that low-cost concessional finance or those ventilators. I never inquired because we never linked the two. For India, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the world is one family, is more precious, more important than profit from somebody else's pain. And I'm sharing this with you because I see a huge potential in your industry to grow at scale, leave behind all this BCG report or whatever you have prepared, relook at your plans. Sorry, I don't mean to hurt anybody, please. I'm sure it is a well-considered target. But this youth of India, all these startups, all these young children here, I don't think this kind of an ambition excites or tickles their imagination. They are much bolder, they are willing to take much bigger challenges. We have a $100 billion FDI commitment from the EFTA countries, Switzerland, Norway, Liechtenstein and Iceland. They're rich countries. Their per capita income is over $1 lakh. I think one of them is $1,80,000. But at that level of cost, they're totally unviable in whatever they have to produce. They need a reliable partner like India, where there's talent, where there's skill, where there's a domestic big market growing. With growing incomes, the demand for high quality equipment, healthcare, doctors, everything is becoming bigger and better. Plus, a government which is working with the advanced countries, with developed economies, to have better trading options, free trade agreements. We've already concluded Mauritius, Australia, UAE, UK. The 4-block EFTA will come into effect on 1st October, 1 month away. We are working with the European Union on overdrive. We are working with Eurasia, a bloc of many nations. Oman FTA should get sorted out in the next few weeks. Yesterday, the Qatar minister told me they want to start negotiations. Chile and Peru are going on. Of course, we are also talking to the US for a bilateral trade agreement, which first phase we had planned to complete by fall, October, November this year. All these engagements will open up new opportunities, new markets, new investment possibilities to bring scale, to bring quality, to bring innovation into India. We just approved a 1 lakh crore fund for promoting R&D and innovation. And by the way, that 1 lakh crore that we have committed effectively translates to R&D worth 7-8 lakh crores. So that same R&D done in Europe or the US or Japan or Korea would probably cost 10 times compared to what we can do in India, considering our purchasing power parity benefits, our talent benefits, our skills. We can transform your whole sector if you come forward with participating in this journey towards innovation, journey to R&D. And on our part, we are trying to look at several areas to make it easier to do business, to make life easier for all of you, to promote your industry, to make sure there's availability of healthcare across the length and breadth of the country at affordable prices but high quality. Dr. Trehan has often been telling me there's huge potential for wellness services from India to the rest of the world. And he's promised to come along with a small group to discuss what steps government can take. How can we make visas easier? How can we make high quality healthcare available to everybody? How can we train our nurses and technicians better? And countries across the world are looking for healthcare professionals from India. Australia minister was just telling me they may need at least 10,000 nurses and caregivers every year. Japan, I'm told, needs 500,000 caregivers with the aging population. Europe has a similar problem. And everybody feels the Indians are far more attractive because they work hard, they don't interfere in local politics, don't disturb any local working systems or processes, and give high quality outcomes. I do believe that if we were to look at much more ambitious growth targets, attract our engineers, our scientists to do innovation on areas which we cannot collaborate. Wherever technologies are available, we need not necessarily reinvent the wheel. We can produce in India using technologies which are tried and tested. And as Honorable Prime Minister explained, that when he talks of Swadeshi, when he talks of Atmanirbhar Bharat, he basically talks about what is made by the sweat of our Indian people, what is produced in the country domestically. भारत के लोगों के पसीने से बना हुआ और भारत की मिट्टी की सुगंध जिसमें आए, वो स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट है. It doesn't matter investment किसने करी, विदेश से आए, भारत से आए, investor doesn't matter. Ownership is a mere economic number. The fact that it provides jobs in India, the fact that it is made with the sweat and blood and hard work of our Indian brothers and sisters, that defines Swadeshi, that defines India's capabilities, not the color of the currency. So UK may have a different color of currency, US may have a different color, India may have another color. That's not material. What's material is that it adds to jobs, it adds to value addition in India, it serves our domestic market, and we are able to export to the rest of the world. And towards that end, every suggestion that you can come up with through your various interactions are welcome. We will also have to look at improvements in our IPR regime if we have to invite investments into India and technologies to India. Some of these we have done. In 2024, the Form 3 for foreign filings, we have relaxed the timelines and simplified the disclosures. Form 27, the working statement is now once in 3 years instead of every year. We have reduced the fees for startups and women entrepreneurs, for academia and micro and small units. We have started doing expedited examination to grant patents. In fact, now we don't allow more than 2 adjournments. We make sure that there's no frivolous objections. All of this is now creating a buzz across the world that yes, India can become a source for innovation R&D. I hope all of you will grab that opportunity, whether it's industrial innovation and TTO frameworks with Ministry of Science and Technology is leading, whether it's the Atal Incubation Centers and the Atal Innovation Mission, which inculcates the spirit of inquiry at a very young age, whether it's our fund of funds managed by SIDBI, which is available to startups, whether it's the National Research Foundation, NRF, which hopes to collaborate with private sector for 50,000 crores worth of innovation and R&D. In every respect, we are open to working with you as partners, as stakeholders. We'd like to further grow the Department of Pharmaceuticals initiatives, whether it's the National Policy on R&D and Innovation, whether it's the PLI scheme, whether it's the PRIP scheme, whether it's ensuring newer markets for newer products and new first-time exporters from India to the rest of the world. There's tremendous potential. And we really need to capture this opportunity. We cannot be weak-kneed. We cannot be suboptimal in our targets, in our ambitions. And I think our strengths need to be cashed much faster, much more. And towards that end, can we look at import substitution wherever we still continue to import goods, whether through technology collaborations or R&D? Can we look at greater self-reliance, Atmanirbharta, so that our supply chains are resilient and not dependent only on the mercy of other countries should there be another crisis like COVID-19? Can we innovate with empathy so that the poorer sections of society also are benefited from the good work that all of you are doing? Competitiveness and high quality determining your outcomes. We need to secure our supply chains for potential disruptions which seem to be growing by the day. We need to build for export markets so that we become providers of scale and go across the world, create at high production capacities, which will help our products to be competitive. We need to truly look at the entire ecosystem, from patient to doctor or hospital, and use newer technologies, possibly even artificial intelligence, to see how we can focus our energies on preventive healthcare, wellness, and reduce the nation's dependencies on other countries. It's a great opportunity in our journey towards Viksit Bharat for all of us to contribute, and till we ensure more inclusive healthcare for 1.4 billion people today, and possibly by 2047, 1.55 or 1.6 billion Indians, till we ensure that every one of them gets high quality health care at affordable prices, I think this journey will be incomplete. Let us go for it. Let us go with confidence. The government stands with you. We are open to your ideas, your suggestions, and I can assure each one of you that the days ahead, the government will be coming out with a variety of measures to support every sector, both to expand the domestic outreach and look for complementarities with other markets around the world to expand our global foray so that this year our exports will exceed last year's exports. This year will define our self-confidence, and the naysayers and the weak-kneed, whether from media, whether from the economists, who are unable to understand India's true strength and our ability to take on challenges. We work together as a team to prove each and every one of them wrong. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your visionary words. You have reminded us that India can no longer be modest, that with our talent, imagination and global competitiveness, the MedTech sector must lead boldly from self-reliance to world leadership. So your guidance inspires us to dream bigger, collaborate wider and innovate faster, and that true innovation needs to be inclusive and be rooted in empathy, ensuring that even the poorest have access to high-quality healthcare and dignity of care. With that, I would now request Mr. Hariharan Subramaniam, Co-Chairman CII National Medical Technology Forum and Managing Director Siemens Healthcare Private Limited, to now deliver the word of thanks. Sir.
On behalf of CII, I extend our sincere appreciation and thanks to Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal, for his truly thought-provoking and